Silly season is already going on for 2 months and we surely haven't heard to end of it. Hamilton's move to Ferrari will probably be the biggest one for next year, but don't rule out a Verstappen move. And what about their second seat? According to rumours, Red Bull must decide quick, before they miss out on huge talent. Could we see Red Bull falling from grace due to their internal fight and lack of decision-making? Red Bull, however, doesn't seem fazed by the upcoming deadlines and claims it will not rush to decide who Max Verstappen's teammate will be next year, despite pressure from Audi, Mercedes and the other teams on the Formula 1 driver market. Sergio Perez's contract expires at the end of this season, leaving the Milton Keynes-based squad with a vacancy in 2025. And Verstappen is also rumours to have talks to Mercedes. Trouble in paradise? However, Perez has showed great potential this year, and after finishing second to Verstappen in the Japanese Grand Prix, he is now second in the drivers' standings again. However, Red Bull is still interested in seeing if Perez can maintain this form in the long run, since he began last season in similar form before suffering a mid-season dip that raised concerns about his future. And with Ferrari closing the gap, Red Bull is looking for someone who can make sure Red Bull will be fighting for a 1 and 2 every race. If the team decides not to continue with Perez, it has plenty of choices, since a number of top drivers are still available. One option is to keep things internal and promote Yuki Tsunoda from RB, since the Japanese rookie has had a terrific start to the season, including a top 10 result in his home race at Suzuka. But Red Bull is also considering other more experienced candidates. Alex Albon is on its shortlist, but he is out of reach until 2025 due to a contract with Williams that would have to be bought out. As said earlier on the channel, Red Bull has requested a first refusal option on his services for 2026. Ferrari's Carlos Sainz, on the other hand, is a more serious contender, with race-winning form and strong technical ability making him a no-brainer pick if Red Bull decides to try something new. However, Sainz's predicament is compounded by the fact that Red Bull is not the sole team he can choose from. According to sources, factions inside Aston Martin want him to join the Silverstone firm in 2025 alongside Lance Stroll and lead it into the new F1 regulations period beginning in 2026, rather than continuing with Fernando Alonso. Audi, F1's newest manufacturer, is also looking for drivers for its 2026 entrance, with Sainz being one of the most obvious targets for some time. Audi's effort to have its drivers in place as early as next year implies that those with alternatives may not be able to wait long, and they may have to set a deadline for Red Bull to decide. Red Bull, on the other hand, argues that it is unconcerned about what other teams want and that it will spend as much time as necessary to assure the greatest driver partnership for 2025. Red Bull Motorsport advisor Helmut Marko stated, "The driver market has burst in April, and normally no one talks about it in April. It is ridiculous, but we won't jump into this game ourselves. We will wait and see and only then make the best choice later on." I don't know what is going on. I have heard that Audi is making pressure, but it is a little bit strange for a newcomer to make pressure on the driver market. While Red Bull is content to wait until the summer, Perez believes things will pick up considerably sooner, with the first driver market movements expected shortly. The Mexican has been in this identical situation previously, signing a 1-year contract with Red Bull for 2021 and gaining the option to extend it that season. He's also been in the much worse position of losing his drive with Racing Point late in 2020 and not knowing if he'd have a seat for the following season. But given how well he's done in 2024 thus far, it's easy to see why Perez is keeping a low-key demeanour when discussing his future. Perez signed a 2-year deal with the Milton Keynes team in 2022. Although, as is usual in Formula 1, both parties included performance clauses and exit options. Despite a tough season last year, Perez was retained by Red Bull for 2024. Despite competing against the behemoth that was Max Verstappen, in the RB19, Perez finished second in the championship, marking the first time Red Bull had finished 1-2 in the drivers' standings. Perez is once again driving for his Formula 1 career in 2024. But will he stay with all the available options? What do you think? This year, the Mexican has let his results speak for themselves, with 3 second-place finishes in the first 4 races, as well as a 5th-place finish in Melbourne, propelling him back to second position in the Drivers' Championship. Perez also claims that his future plans will be disclosed soon. "I am pretty relaxed about it," he said. "It is my 14th season in F1, and whatever comes next, I am already really pleased with what I have done in the sport so far. I believe it will be a matter of time." Obviously, the driver market is moving, and in the next few weeks there are going to be a lot of movements for sure. So I expect within a month to really know what I am doing next year. According to Red Bull team principal Christian Horner, Perez has a good chance of retaining the second seat provided he continues to perform well. He needs to just keep doing what he's doing, explained Horner. The whole driver market seems to be very early this year, that everybody seems to be rushing around, and we're only 4 races into the year. We're not in a huge rush, and obviously there's a significant amount of interest in our cars, as you would expect. But Checo has the priority, and it is going to be a few more races yet before we start to think about next year. But while a lot of focus is put on Red Bull's second seat, there is also a fight for the person in the first seat. And as Verstappen finished 20.8 seconds ahead of Leclerc's teammate Carlos Sainz in Japan, Wolff predicted that the Dutchman will easily win his 4th World Championship in 2024, and once again showed his interest in Verstappen for his vacant seat in 2025. "No one is going to catch Max this year," he said at Suzuka. "His driving and the car, just spectacular. I can see how he manages the tyres. Basically, this season now is best of the rest," he said of Mercedes' prospects for the rest of the season. "That's the fight, that's all." Wolff's recent statements once again come as Verstappen is prominently linked with a lucrative switch to Mercedes in 2025, during the current off-track troubles consuming the Red Bull squad. Wolff said last month that he would love to hire Verstappen for the following season as a successor for Lewis Hamilton. Wolff's comments haven't gone unnoticed, as Verstappen said, "Lately, Toto has been really nice, saying a lot of nice things about me." Verstappen surely is seeing through the game Wolff is trying to play, but Wolff is trying all he can during the ongoing chaos within Red Bull's higher circles. And the Christian Horner and Helmut Marko's power struggle at Red Bull will allegedly also have an influence on Adrian Newey as well, and this could influence Verstappen's future. According to unsubstantiated rumours, after the death of Red Bull co-owner Dietrich Mateschitz, both Red Bull racing team leader Horner and motorsport advisor Marko intended to fill the hole. Despite Red Bull's success, there is still a lot of dissatisfaction behind the scenes. Two cannot become one, as it works out on track, creating a perceived power struggle that has played a role in Red Bull's early 2024 crisis. Both Horner and Marko have now made attempts to reduce media coverage. However, veteran Formula One driver Robert Dornbos feels F1 hasn't heard the last of it. "Despite all the success at Red Bull, there is still a lot of unrest behind the scenes," he said. "We get the tip of the iceberg through the media, but what is happening there now? Marko is not happy with Horner, and Horner is not happy with Marko either. There are some things going on there, and those things might have an influence on Newey's futures with the organisation, despite the fact that stories of Newey's departure include a wide range of activities. Newey, linked to a huge money move to Aston Martin, is supposedly done with the chaos at Red Bull and is just waiting out his contract." Dornbos said, "Behind the scenes, the lawsuit with that staff member against Horner is still going on. Adrian Newey is no longer charmed by it at all. Everyone thinks that's Christian Horner's best friend, and yes, he brought him in for the big successes, but he doesn't want to get involved in this anymore either. What I have heard is that Adrian Newey will no longer renew his contract, and that is a thing, because if he stops at the end of 2025, will you still be good for the new era?" he said. "There are all sorts of camps emerging despite the fact that the success on the circuit is simply top level," he said. "And if this happens, this will surely make Verstappen think twice about that Mercedes offer. What do you think? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below.